What's cracking, guys? Omar Isop here, back with another video. This time we got training tips. I got my boy Alberto Nunez, because why? Long hair, we care, okay? We support each other. It's a cold, cruel world out there. Anyways, he had 2 parts already of this series, essentially taking muscle groups, hard areas to train. So he talked about the lateral deltoid, the side deltoid, and then he talked about calves, how to grow them. This time he's going to talk about back training and how to properly utilize the pull down machine and how it's used very incorrectly. Without further ado, I'm going to let him do his thing. If you like this style of video, getting a bodybuilder to share some insight into common exercises and how essentially they're done wrong and how to make them better, make sure to like this video and leave a comment below what you want to see next. The muscle group or maybe the movement that you feel could be better utilized.
Hey, what's up, guys? So far we've gone over lateral delts, we've gone over calves. I went on a walk today. Usually they're more jacked than that, but so we're flat. But today we're gonna go over another body part that when I think of bodybuilders, it's the first thing that comes to mind. They say the show's one from the back, and that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go over lats today. We're gonna go with this machine here for a few reasons. Firstly, it targets the lats really well. It's something that you can find at nearly any gym, even those super power lifter specific gyms. You're gonna have this, and rightfully so. It's a wonderful, wonderful piece of equipment. I think a lot of you guys out there might be, well, why don't you just go over a chin-up or something, because you can find that anywhere. However, once we brush up on the cues that we're going to enforce today, you will see that for a lot of people it's just not very practical. A lot of us just aren't strong enough to do them right, and by right I mean in a manner where you're really targeting your lats. So we're going to use the pull down machine. In case you haven't seen it, this is what it looks like. A few things to go over. So your cable on your pull down machine should be one of the cables in your gym that needs to be replaced the least, which kind of goes to tell you what kind of approach we take to pull downs. It's one of those movements where we're going to be nice and gentle. We're going to be romantic with it. And reason being is because there's so many things going on, and much like isolation movements, where if you're not careful, right, you can start using other muscle groups. A curl can easily turn into a reverse grip clean, that sort of thing. So with this movement, the issue that a lot of people run into is that they start using other body parts to help out with the movement, and by doing so, they're no longer using their lats, or their lats aren't getting the work they actually can. And we're going to work in mostly the higher rep ranges. So again, much like isolation movements, where most people will find that they can perform a curl or a tricep extension in the higher reps with better form and target the muscles they're after. The same thing goes with this one. It's probably best left in, I'd say, the 18 to 15 rep range. So let's get started, okay? So we're going to go with this bar because this is typically what you will find at most gyms. And it's a great attachment, and we're going to go over this and a few other options that you have. So typically, what you hear is that the wider the grip, the wider the lats. That's not actually the case. Usually the wider the grip, first of all, the harder it is to do the right things with your shoulders, and then also your lats are going to go through less range of motion. So think of it like this. So if you're here versus where I do recommend, we'll go over what the recommendations actually are. You're just not getting as much range of motion, as much work. So, and just think about out here. I'm sure someone out there is doing that. No good. So you want to be in a place where your wrists are basically perpendicular to the floor. That is where you want to set your hands. So wrists perpendicular to the floor, that is where your hands go. Then upon sitting down, yeah, we definitely want to have a little bit of an arch. This is going to get your lats in the right line of pull, and then also it's going to keep it from turning into a horizontal row. That's not the goal here. So we'll lean back, but then also not too much of a lean back. What ends up happening if you lean back way too much is that you end up contracting your lats, so they're never in a fully stretched position when you're up here. So just enough to get your head out the way, get your chest up just slightly, and this is about where you want to be. This is the position that your torso should remain at throughout the whole movement. All right, so this is where we start, and we're going to pull it down to right about our upper chest. How far up do we bring it up? Right about here, right before we fully lock out our elbows. And the reason being is because we don't want the biceps to start the movement up here. And you're going to notice that you will lose a few reps initially when you start this, but you will also notice that your back is doing a lot more work. So this is going to be your starting position. This is our ending position. And we're going to work within here. Now, a few things to cue in as you're doing this is at the bottom, you want to hold it for a 1 to 2 second count, sometimes 3. You will find that this really helps you from overly using your arms. You will feel your lats engage, and you will need them to keep it in that tight position at the bottom. On the way back up, you're going to slowly elevate your shoulders just a bit, and then as you're coming back down, you're going to depress your shoulders and your scapula. So, as you can see, for a lot of people, this would be something really hard to do with a chin-up, to think of all those things in order to target the lats, and that's specifically why we're using this. So, let me show you what it would look like, what I believe a more appropriate form looks like. So shoulders come up, then you depress your scapula. You're going to hold it better than I did. And as you can see, the tempo was pretty smooth, and that ensures that, again, especially on the way up, I am slowly and in control, slowly elevating my shoulders, okay? So that's this grip. And when we go into other grips, whether it be other bars or perhaps an underhand grip, the same thing applies. What is the difference? So when you go underhand, what you will find is that, first of all, you're a whole lot stronger, and the reason being is because your biceps are in a way better line of pull. So this is a great alternative. However, as we discussed, what does end up happening with just about any back movement, whether it be a row or a pull down, is that people tend to use their arms too much. So even though it's a lot easier to do that whole shoulder thing we went over when we elevate our shoulders slightly and then depress our scapula on the way down, the issue with this grip is that your biceps tend to take over a bit too much. So there's a middle ground that we can use, and that's going to be the neutral grip pulley handle. So this one right here is kind of the jack of all trades. Your biceps are surely in a slightly better line of pull, so you'll see that you're a bit stronger on this. But since you're not out here, for a lot of us, it's going to be easier to control our shoulders and do all those things we went over. So this is my favorite handle, and I think for most people, it's probably going to be the right handle. Okay. Show them what this is like. So for this one, we pull down to the point where our humerus is right at the midline of our shoulders. So about right there. Hold it, slowly elevate those shoulders. Right before you fully lock out your arms, bring it right back and depress your scapula. And that's how you get some jack lats. So one thing that I do want you guys to remember is that even though load is a big, it's probably the most objective proxy for tension. The issue with this movement, like I said, like other isolation movements or specifically say arms and calves, is that you can go up in weight, but by going up in weight, sometimes you redirect tension to muscle groups you're not intending to work. And that is specifically true for this one, and that's why you will see people turn this into, you know, Olympic row, they get hip extension, arms, all that other stuff. So again, this is one of those movements that we want to romance, that we want to we want to have a smooth eccentric specifically, so we end up in that good position. And it's probably best used in the 10 to 15 rep range. May your lats be awesome and jacked, and hopefully you have a newfound appreciation for this wonderful piece of equipment.
That's it, guys. That's the video. That's all the time we have. Big shout out to my boy Alberto. Make sure you follow him on Instagram, Snapchat, everything. Links are in the description. If you like this video, I'm looking at you. You're at the end. You just watch him get a pump on, a crazy pump on. I mean, I was looking at that stuff. You should like the damn video. You're already here, and I'll be seeing all you guys, my rascals, in that next video. Peace.